watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
So glad you're with us for our 6 a.m. hour here on CBS 8 Mornings. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Chris Groh. Of course, as we have been hearing, gross and muggy, the top two words to describe the condition. So let's turn to meteorologist Vanessa Paz here.
Yeah.
Wow.
A little thick out there.
I know. It's
That's
like,
one way to put it.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be gross and muggy. I mean, it started yesterday as far as the inland heating pattern.
Yeah,
it's going to take place all the way through the weekend. So I would get used to it, especially if you have any outdoor activities planned this weekend. Just make sure that you're thinking ahead, especially if it's involving kids or any part of your family. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at watches, warnings, and advisories. We have a slew of them just covering Southern California, most of the Southwest, parts of Arizona, as well as Nevada. As we zoom on into San Diego in particular, we are under that heat advisory and extreme heat warning. It took place yesterday for the heat advisory, set to last all the way through Friday night, and the extreme heat warning will take us all the way through Saturday night for the desert areas. Here's a quick look at your inland 5-day forecast. So notice how we don't really feel relief until we get to early next week. And also when it comes to those overnight lows, we're talking about very warm temperatures, unusually warm. That's why that heat just compounds and we don't see relief. All right, I'll talk about what we can expect in terms of the monsoon and moisture. That's also been a pretty big topic this week. We'll talk about the play-by-play as far as when we can expect to see some rain activity. That's all ahead. Chris.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa.
A reminder, the county does have dozens of cool zone locations that offer free air conditioning. They include libraries and community centers. We posted a full list of locations at cbs8.com. Just click on the help button. Just a reminder, for the latest weather conditions and alerts on the go, you can download our free CBS 8 app from Google Play or the Apple App Store on your phone. Our top story here on this Thursday this morning, one of the Menendez brothers is expected to have his parole hearing.
The brothers have spent nearly 30 years in prison for the 1989 killings of their parents. And CBS 8's Regina Yarita live outside of Donovan State Prison. Regina, that's where Eric Menendez is expected to appear virtually before the state parole board in just a couple of hours. But what else are you hearing?
Hey, good morning. Well, guys, I can tell you that this parole hearing could mean it's one step closer to their freedom. It's their first ever parole hearing. It's going to be taking place virtually. It'll start with Eric Menendez, followed by Lyle Menendez tomorrow. But they are both serving time here at Donovan State Prison. Now, for those who have been following this case very closely for the past few decades, this has been a long-awaited parole hearing for the brothers. They've spent nearly 30 years in prison for the killing of their parents in 1989. They were sentenced to life in 1996 without the possibility of parole. But in May of this year, the two were resentenced, making them eligible for release. Now, the Menendez brothers will appear separately before the state parole board to make their case on why they should be released. Part of their argument will be on how they no longer pose a threat to public safety. They will not reoffend and take full responsibility for their crimes. Their attorney, Mark Garrigo, says their parole hearing should be about redemption and not about relitigating the facts of this case. Several family members of the brothers have also supported their release from prison, saying they have forgiven them for what they did. The Los Angeles County District Attorney, on the other hand, voiced that the brothers should not be released, claiming they have continued to lie about alleged physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. Earlier this month, he filed a 132-page response for his opposition to their petition for a new trial. But back out here, today's hearing starts with Eric Menendez. After both hearings take place this week, it'll head to the parole board, who will make a recommendation, and from there, Governor Gavin Newsom will make a final decision. We'll keep a close eye on this hearing starting this morning, and we'll bring you the latest details. But for now, I'll send it back to you.
Regina, thanks for the update there. This morning, we are following a developing story out of National City. Police there investigating a murder after a man found his wife stabbed to death inside of their home. It happened just after 2 yesterday afternoon on Division Street. Police say when the husband found his wife, another man was inside the home but ran away once officers arrived. We're told officers chased the suspect, identified as Noel Trevino, to 1st Street and then arrested him. Investigators have not revealed any details about the woman's identity. Trevino is now facing murder charges.
Outrage in North County this morning after a father was detained by federal agents in front of his young child. It happened during an immigration enforcement operation yesterday in Encinitas not far from a school. ICE enforcement and removal operations San Diego says that agents carried out a targeted enforcement action against an undocumented immigrant from Guatemala with a final order of removal from the United States since 2017. According to ICE, the individual was alone in the car when officers made the stop. A person claiming to be the man's spouse arrived to the area in a separate car coming from the opposite direction of the school with the young child in the back seat. ICE also says the stop happened 2 blocks away from Parkdale Elementary and completely out of the school's view. The incident has led to a strong community response, with many residents attending yesterday's Encinitas City Council meeting.
This has created so much fear and trauma, not just for the family that this happened to, but for the entire community. And that's why it's important for us to come out and show that we are in solidarity. We need to be with them.
Yesterday, the Encinitas City Council ultimately passed a motion which included to direct staff to launch a Know Your Rights campaign, explore establishing safe zones like in schools and churches, and investigate the ability to limit mask wearing by ICE officials, among several other potential actions.
California state legislature is set to vote on a new congressional map here today so it can be put before voters in a November special election. It comes as Republicans, who control the Texas House, advance a new congressional map that would likely result in the GOP picking up 5 seats there in their Congress. It now moves to the state Senate and Republican governor. So this means the redistricting effort here in California to counter the move in Texas is poised to move forward. Democrats here have revealed a new map that could flip 5 seats from Republicans to Democrats. Again, the state legislature is set to vote on the map today.
All right, 6:07 here on this Thursday. And Vanessa, quite the change up compared to what we've been enjoying, maybe even just last weekend, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like a weather whiplash, and it's all due to this ridge of high pressure. It's going to usher in some very warm air, and it's also going to trigger a thunderstorm activity potentially for the county's eastern half, all due to a surge of monsoon and moisture. All right, you were just looking at a view of the beach, and this is actually another view a little towards not really sure where this is facing. I want to say this is from our Mount Woodson Skycam out in Poway. We're looking at mostly clear skies. Especially in comparison to what we saw over the past couple of mornings. We saw some pretty dense fog out there. Visibility right now, not too much of an issue, and that's good news for drivers who got to get somewhere on time this morning. All right, current temperatures right now, or actually today's forecast rather, will top out in the low 80s for the coastal areas. The inland areas will produce highs in the mid 90s, and we'll be soaring close to 100 degrees in the mountains, near 115 for the deserts. Now the heat peaks today, tomorrow, lingers into Saturday, and we won't really start to feel relief until we get to next week. Here's that ridge of high pressure I mentioned. We have the jet stream way to our north that separates the cooler and the warmer air. So don't expect us to really see the impacts of this area of low pressure anytime soon, because this ridge is really just going to take over in the coming days. As we take a look at our European model, it tends to be on the ambitious side when it showcases the play-by-play in terms of showers and thunderstorm activity. As we fast forward to Friday, mostly dry, but notice how we have that green speck for the mountains and desert areas. That's where we could see the shot for some showers. What we'll likely see starting tomorrow are those billowing clouds. If you look east towards the mountain areas, those cumulus clouds, they will become greater Saturday, Sunday, even lingering into Monday, and they have the chance for bringing us some instability in terms of thunderstorms. And we know by now that any thunderstorm activity typically associated with downbursts of very strong winds and even the potential for heavy rains, which could lead to localized flooding. As of right now, the chances look fairly slim, but there is still a chance, especially when it comes to our higher elevation in the mountain neighborhoods. The coastal areas will be in the high 70s, very warm. I mean, we're talking about those numbers climbing into the weekend, into the low 80s by Sunday, and then we'll finally drop down to the 70s, but that won't happen until the start of next week. The inland areas, these are highlighted in red because these are the weather impact days. You should be really mindful, folks. I mean, the National Weather Service, they don't just put out these heat advisories and extreme heat warnings for no reason. They want you to be extremely mindful when it comes to those outdoor activities. Avoid spending time outside, especially during the day when the warmth peaks. If you walk the dog, preferably do it in the morning or late at night when it's the coolest. All right, mountain and desert areas, everyone, including the mountains and deserts, under that heat advisory and extreme heat warning all the way through about the weekend, and then we'll have relief. Those temperatures climb closer to normal by the start of next week. All right, and the time is 6:10 on your Thursday morning. Let's go ahead and see if we're looking at Thursday light out there. Pretty light on the 5 in both directions right at Genesee. That's the drive as you make your way southbound coming in from the Del Mar area. Just a heads up, if you're traveling towards Coronado Island, you may see some congestion for those exiting Coronado because of a breakdown, and that's mid-span of the Coronado Bridge. A tow truck will likely be on scene, so that could cause some slowing as you make either to or from Coronado this morning. All right, zooming on into the Chula Vista area, National City, average speeds about 69 miles per hour on the 5. A little bit of a different story if you're shooting up on the 805 through at North Park. We're now seeing some slowing from the 15 all the way towards that 8 on ramp. And here's a quick look at the travel out of Santee and La Mesa. Speeds anywhere between 65, 70 miles per hour. Same deal in from Oceanside and Escondido. No major troubled spots nor delays. All right, it'll take you about 12 to 25 minutes headed inbound from Encinitas as well as Escondido, under 15 traveling full span of the 78 west from Vista all the way towards Oceanside, and 5 to 7 minutes for all of those drives headed westbound on the 94, the 8, as well as the 52. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick look at your border wait times. Whew, not too shabby whatsoever. I don't know if this is an error or what. 10 minutes right now coming in from Otay Mesa's port of entry. Very good news there. And about 35 meanwhile inbound from San Ysidro's port of entry.